Hey, what's up, everybody? Getting ready for another big weekend, SWAC spring football. So, before Friday gets here, we got to talk to BJ Jones, our SWAC insider. All right, BJ, let's start with Graham fam 0-2, taking on UAPB, which maybe you tell me, maybe have surprised some people this spring. What are your thoughts on Grambling? What are your thoughts on the matchup this weekend?
Oh man, Arkansas Pine Bluff man came into Mumford Stadium and got a win. And for the first time in a long time, they got a win at Mumford Stadium, and they look pretty good doing it. Quarterback, the receivers look great. Defensively, they did enough in the first half, and they held on in the second half. Now they're going to Grambling, Louisiana, with all the confidence in the world. Grambling's 0-2; they have not looked great. Arkansas Pine Bluff is riding a high right now, so the Golden Lions are feeling really good about themselves. And if you're a Grambling fan, you got to be really concerned because one of the things that Arkansas Pine Bluff can do is they can run the football and they can also throw it. They're one of the most balanced teams in the conference. And when you talk about a Grambling defense that has not looked spectacular, that can cause all kinds of problems.
So should Grambling fans also maybe think, hey, let's work whatever we got to work out in the spring so we can be right for the fall?
You could take that, man, but on Saturday, you could say that during the week, but on Saturday, that competitive edge is going to take over. You're going to want to win. At the end of the day, there will be a title passed out this spring. So you want to put yourself in a position to get that championship because they're so hard to win.
From what you see right now, we're just 2 games in. Do you think the quarterback competition in the fall for Grambling, when everybody's eligible, Bodden will be ready to compete? Do you think that's going to be a wide open slot there for Grambling?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think that what you have with Hickbottom, he had his struggles. He had some bright spots, but he had his struggles. I think what the transfer quarterback came in and did in the second half, he looked great. He was efficient with the football. The problem with Grambling is it won't matter who the quarterback is. They have to show up that offensive line. They gave up 6 sacks a week ago to Prairie View. That's about 6 too many. So they have to fix the turnstile that is the offensive line because you can have someone who's all world at quarterback. If you can't keep them upright, it doesn't make a difference.
All right, BJ Jones, our SWAC insider. Let's talk Southern, your alma mater. All right, they had a loss to UAPB. They did defeat Alabama State. They're getting ready for Texas Southern. What do you see in this weekend's matchup?
The biggest thing for Southern kind of sounds like Grambling. Got to fix the offensive line. Southern has yet to crack the 4 yards per carry mark in any game, not against Alabama State, not against Arkansas Pine Bluff. One of the things that Texas Southern showed that they could do against Prairie View was stop the run. And Texas Southern was able to run the ball very, very effectively against Prairie View. If you go look at that game, Texas Southern should have won that ball game against Prairie View if it wasn't for a controversial call. So that Tiger football team is coming in with a lot of confidence. And if you look at the last time that Southern and Texas Southern met, it was a knockdown dragout. Southern got out of the Cotton Bowl by the skin of their teeth. So Texas Southern comes in with not only with the confidence of what happened with Prairie View, but what happened the last time these 2 football teams met. So if you're Southern, you're kind of nervous about this one. Southern has to get back to running the football and stopping the run. They do those 2 things, they'll come out fine on Saturday night.
BJ, what would it mean if Texas Southern could really get back on track, get right, be located in Houston, Texas? I mean, one of the biggest cities in the biggest football state there is. Like, how big could that be?
I think it would be very big. You have to look at their head coach is a Houston native, Yates High School alum. He knows that area, and this is homecoming for him. And for Texas Southern, it's always been like this. You know, what potentially you could be. And Texas Southern has never lived up to it. So it would be big. You know, Texas Southern has not won a conference game since 2018. That would be big for them to finally get a conference win and kind of get some confidence moving. But talk about the city of Houston and even the surrounding areas, how much football talent is there. Imagine if you could start winning and get some of that football talent and then re-energize that fan base. Texas Southern has been an easy joke about, the attendance at their football games. But one of the things that can help that is winning. People love to be around the winner. So if they can get that straightened out, and Clarence McKinney being a Houston guy, born and bred, that will mean a lot to that football program.
Hey, it's a basketball school in the middle of Texas. Go figure. I'm sure they'd love to balance that thing out. Absolutely. And hey, congrats to the basketball team on their way to the NCAAs. Good luck to them. All right, BJ Jones, you know what I'm about to ask you, man. All eyes on the undefeated Jackson State Tigers rolling into Montgomery, Alabama to take on Alabama State. Okay, we've seen them play out of conference. We've seen them play in conference. They got a big win over Mississippi Valley State. Will Alabama State be the toughest task so far for Jackson State this weekend?
Yes. And it's all because of that front seven of Alabama State, what they have on the defensive line and then at linebacker. That's going to be the toughest test. They're going to cause some problems for Jackson State on the defensive side of the football. Offensively, Alabama State's still a work in progress. You like what Ryan Nettles has done at the quarterback position. That young offensive line have seemed to gel a little bit, but we can see what Ryan Nettles can bring to the table. How far has he progressed since that first game against Southern? Well, it was like 3 weeks ago. I think that they can cause some problems for Jackson State.
All right, Jackson State has shown that they can run the ball. Alexander, the other week, he had over 100 yards rushing. Not this past week, but man, the passing game, they were on fire in the first half against Mississippi Valley State. Do you see the Jackson State offense kind of getting that cohesion and balance to be able to keep you off guard with both the run and the pass?
Oh, yes, absolutely, man. You saw that passing game. This is the Jalen Jones that Jackson State fans have been waiting to see. A young man that transferred from the University of Florida, a 4-star recruit, came in with a lot of accolades. But up until last week, he kind of struggled in the pass game and passing the football. But when you look at the weapons that he has, along with his talent, you can no longer just line up and just stop the run against Jackson State. You have to respect their pass game. And that makes that offense from Jackson State that much more dangerous. And the offensive coordinator, Jason Phillips, there's more things that he can roll out of that playbook. So Jackson State, I know people are going to say, it's just Mississippi Valley. Well, when they played the people who own their schedule, they won. We can talk about how impressive or unimpressive it was, but at the end of the day, a win is a win.
Exactly. Jalen Jones was a little off in the second half. I thought, just looking at it at home on TV, maybe it was performance related, but we found out after the game he was a little nicked up, not able to really plant and set, and some of his passes were sailing on him. So that's something to watch headed into the game. BJ, even though we've only seen the Alabama State quarterback only one time, man, I'm still excited from what I saw in that close loss to Southern a few weeks ago.
Yes, man. Ryan Nettles is a kid that's from Hillcrest, Evergreen, about an hour and a half south of Montgomery. He comes from a program that wins state titles. They produce quarterbacks. And the hype about him is true. You saw when he was able to use his feet and use his arms to scramble and also keep his eyes down the field and find open receivers. I think the sky's the limit for Ryan Nettles. But what he needs to do is to actually get his receivers to help him out. He dealt with some drops in that game. So you got to have Jefferson and Hickson and the rest of that crew to really help the young man out as he comes along. But I like what they were able to do in the pass game. If you look at the yardage, you'll say, oh, no, he only threw for – but you look at how he did it, and if you look at quarterback play for Alabama State previous to him, this is a major upgrade for that program.
Everybody loves Coach Donald Hill-Ely, one of the nicest guys you'll meet. Alabama State has all the tools to win with facilities, great recruits. But, BJ, somehow they just always seem to be right there on the edge of a big signature win and let it slip away. Even though this is spring football, but being on ESPN2, everything that surrounds Deion Sanders and Jackson State, would it be a signature win for Alabama State this weekend if they beat JSU?
Yes. If you look at this Alabama State, Jackson State series is very, very weird. The last time that Jackson State went into Montgomery, they won by the score of 20-2. But when Alabama State goes to Jackson, they win. like Alabama State can't beat Jackson and Montgomery, but they can beat them in Jackson. The road team has had their fair share of wins in this series. And for Alabama State, you need one of these wins. You have to get a win over Alcorn. You have to get a win over Jackson State. You have to get a win over Southern. They got the win over Grambling a year ago to go along with Jackson State to give them a little bit of momentum. I think for them to get this win, that would help give this program a spark. And that's something that Coach Hill-Ely and this program, they need it right now.
Yeah, if my memory serves me correctly, because as I get older, my eyes are starting to fail me. My brain is not far behind, but I believe Alabama State upset Jackson State on their homecoming a couple of seasons ago, and it was some missed field goals that played a big role in that. And that, so far, has been the one thing that you might see come back to bite Jackson State is their struggles in the kicking game with special teams.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at Alabama State, they did get the win over Alcorn for Alcorn's homecoming. They got the win the last time we were on the field in 2019 against Jackson State, 31-16 for Jackson State's homecoming. They've been able to string some wins like this together, but they've all been on the road with the exception of Grambling in 2019. So they need a big home win against a SWAC opponent or any opponent not named Tuskegee.
I see what you did there. And my brain did fail me. You are correct. It was the homecoming. See how my brain is continuing to fail me. Alcorn State's homecoming missed field goals. That was what I remember there. Wow. It's going to be a 3-game weekend. We won't see Alabama A&M. Their game that was scheduled is being postponed because Prairie View A&M had to take a pause for a couple of weeks because of COVID-related issues. But Alabama A&M, BJ, they're like the best team that we don't ever get to see because their schedule has been just thrown off by their opponents all year.
Oh, man. And I was actually looking forward to seeing Alabama A&M and Prairie View, the two teams who sit atop the two divisions in the conference. I think that a lot of people were very high on Alabama A&M coming off that win against South Carolina State. I think some of the luster got lost last week when people saw South Carolina State in a knockdown drag out with Delaware State. So I think Alabama A&M is eager to get on the field and prove themselves. And what better way to do it against 2-0 Prairie View? So, I mean, I hate it because they've had the Mississippi Valley game canceled. And now this game canceled, and now Alabama A&M is just the big mystery up in Huntsville.
Yeah, we might see them again at at Magic City maybe at the rate we're going. All right, but the game with Prairie View, the last I saw, is postponed. They're gonna try to make that up. So hopefully, people at Prairie View can get the program back on track and get back on the schedule for this spring. BJ, enjoy it this weekend, man. We'll get together next week and talk about everything that goes down.
All right, man. Looking forward to it.